Hello, this is Katia, your midwife. Today's tutorial is to teach you how to make your own homemade SNS. What's an SNS? The SNS is a supplemental nursing system, and we normally use it to give top-ups to the baby, so supplementation for clinical reasons, mainly in case you don't want to use a bottle, a cup or a syringe. It could be used for babies who are struggling to breastfeed in the first few days of life, and we can give them a taste of what it's like to be on the breast. So it's something that's much closer to breastfeeding than other methods, and it's going to help them to improve their sucking skills if there are any problems with that. It could be used by mums and dads by using it with finger feeding, so that means you're going to use that device on your finger, on your hands to feed the baby. It could be used directly on the breast to do at-breast supplementation. It could be used by mums who have adopted a baby and would like to start their breastfeeding journey. So while they are inducing the lactation, so they are stimulating the breast to make milk, they can start giving the breast to the baby and make sure that they're getting the milk that they need. And it can be used either for breast milk or formula milk, doesn't matter. Okay, so what do I need to make my own homemade SNS? First of all, a bottle. Could be any bottle, the smaller the better, around 150 mils, for example. Cheap would be ideal because we're going to have to make some modification on it. Then we're going to need a feeding tube. This is a neonatal feeding tube, 50 centimeters long and 5 French in diameter. So 5 French is the measurement that we use normally for feeding tubes and catheters. Okay, in the hospital we normally have either 5 French or 6 French, depending on the trust, depending on the availability. In general, 5 French is ideal. Okay, this tube has a round tip, atraumatic, so baby's not going to be hurt by it, and it has a couple of holes at the tip and then 2 more holes around 1 centimeter, 1.5 centimeters from the tip. And we want to make sure that the baby gets to at least to cover both of the lower holes. And I'll come to that in a minute. Then we're going to need a pair of clean scissors. Any scissor will do. You don't need to buy extra sterile scissors, because this is a clean procedure. It's not a completely sterile procedure, just like breastfeeding is. Then we're going to need some sticky tape and a syringe to clean inside of the tube at the end of the feed. So how do I build it? I take my bottle and my scissors and I make a little cut at the tip. Okay? Or I can make a little hole. Okay, up to you. Once I'm making the hole, I can either remove the teat or just put the tube straight away. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to feed the tube through the teat and make sure that the end, this one has a bigger green end, other tubes have got a purple end, goes inside of the bottle, so to fish inside of it. Obviously there is going to be milk in it. And I've got my SNS made. How do I use it? So if you want to do finger feeding, that means that the baby's going to suck from the tube as if it's a straw using your finger. You will need your sticky tape. If I manage to get it open. And then what I'm doing, I'm going to stick the tube either onto my middle finger or my index finger. So the index and the middle finger, because they are the biggest one on our hand, and these are the ones that are going to give us a better performance. They're going to help the baby reach a better performance. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to present my baby with my finger, palm facing up. And I've got my baby Homer here to help. So you present the finger, making sure that the baby gets to at least this bit, so to cover both of the holes of the tube, and they're going to start sucking. Okay? In order to do paced finger feeding, So making sure that they're making enough effort, but they're not overfeeding, or anyway, they're not making too little effort. Every 25 to 30 ml, depending on how much milk you're giving the baby, you need to stop, burp the baby, give him a couple of minutes, and then start again. Okay, so this is the finger feeding method. The bottle needs to stay lower than the tube, because obviously if it's higher up, baby's gonna make virtually no effort. So they need to make some effort. Where do I put the bottle? Some people are quite comfortable with keeping the bottle on their hand, but obviously you need to make sure that the bottle is kept lower. Some other people, some mums, put it into their bra, especially if they're not giving, if they're doing finger feeding, or dads could put it somewhere in their pockets if it's quite a long feeding tube, talking about around 80 centimeters. Otherwise, another very nice option is to take a piece of string, tie that up around the bottle. So make a little knot. So for you to make a necklace, okay? So you make a necklace with your bottle, so the bottle stays lower, and the baby can feed, and you have an almost hand-free experience, depending, obviously, if you're doing finger feeding, one hand is going to be occupied holding the baby, and the other hand is going to be occupied feeding the baby. But if you do this lovely necklace with your bottle, it's absolutely fine, okay? And it's quite comfortable, because some other people may say, okay, just leave it next to you on the sofa. But obviously, as soon as you move, you can drop the milk, you can spill the milk, you can drop the bottle, so it's going to get quite messy. How do I use it if I want to do at breast supplementation? So same principle as for the finger feeding, but this time the tube is going to be applied onto the breast. So I'm going to make sure that the tip of the tube stays just slightly below the tip of the nipple. So, and same thing with finger feeding. We don't want the tube to go beyond the tip of the finger, because obviously the tip of the tube may tickle the palate and the baby may gag. Okay, so you stick it here, either on top or to the side, depending on the positioning of a baby. And this is something that you can discuss with your lactation consultant and with your breastfeeding specialist when you're getting support to do at breast supplementation. And then you feed the baby. As I said earlier on, you can make your nice necklace. So you've got your necklace, you've got your breast, and then you feed the baby. Okay? Once I finish with my feed, I need to clean the tube. So the tubes are normally, if they're used for enteral feeding, that means that the tube is going to be passing inside of the nose and then into the stomach of the baby. These are single use. Because we're using it outside of a baby's body, these can be used for up to a week, but they need to be cleaned thoroughly. So how do I clean them? They don't go into the steam sterilizer, and they don't get into a pot of hot water, because otherwise they're going to melt. Or anyway, even if they don't melt straight away, the rubber, the silicone they're made of, is going to get ruined. Okay, so they need to be sterilized into a cold solution. There are sterilizing tablets, sterilizing fluids. You just go into a supermarket, into the baby aisle, and you will find them. What do you need to do? You prepare your solution, then you draw it up into a syringe, and then what you do, you put the syringe into the bigger end of the tube, and you flush the tube at least 5 or 6 times with the sterilizing solution. Then you can also sterilize the outside of the tube by soaking it into the solution for 15-20 minutes, whatever is on the instructions. And then when you're done, again, you flush the inside of the tube with some cooled boiled water to make sure that you get rid of that bleachy taste and smell. Then once you're done with your 5-6 flushes, you shake the tube vigorously to make sure that you get rid of all the water inside of the tube, and you leave it to air dry. Preferably do this operation as soon as you've finished feeding the baby, or at least flush the inside with some water, just to make sure that you get rid of all the milk, because either formula or breast milk can crust inside of the tube, they can occlude it, and you won't be able to use it anymore. Okay, same tube could be used for a minimum of 3 days to a maximum of a week, depending on how well you keep it and how many times a day you're using it. If you need more tubes, where do I buy them? So there are websites specialized with providing equipment for medical professionals. Some tubes can be also purchased via Amazon or eBay, but you need to make sure that they are infant feeding tubes, or anyway nasogastric tubes of the right size, and then they're fit for purpose. For example, this one, I found it on Amazon into a puppy feeding kit. Doesn't say anywhere that it's designed for puppies. This is just an enteral feeding tube. It's a 6 French, 50 centimeters long, and can be used, and it's sterile, so it can be used perfectly for your baby. Okay, there are kits ranging from any price, but obviously if you are seen by a NHS breastfeeding specialist or by a lactation consultant, we would be able to give you the equipment that you need for your SNS. If you need larger amounts, then we can help you find the best provider for you, so for you not to spend too much money on it, or anyway to buy good quality products. If you found this video helpful, please like my Facebook page, Your Midwife UK, my Instagram page. Follow me on Instagram on Your Midwife UK, all in one word. My YouTube channel, Your Midwife UK. Or if you want more information and support with your breastfeeding journey, please contact me via my website www.yourmidwife.co.uk. Until next time, bye bye.